So here's my question number two. Why the author pointed out that the domestic policy in America was like rocky and foreign policy was like balance. So, in my point of view, at that period of time, the domestic politics were quite overshadowed by the foreign policies, as there were different kinds of things happening all around the world, and America was quite participating here and there, as it was after the end of World War II, as America was also focusing on the Korean War, and it was also trying to re-energize the Europe economy, and there was Marshall Plan also. So, as the author explained, it's in simple points, is like the slouching towards the green line due to constituting the goal line were severely restricted the efficiency and effectiveness, lacking autonomy, cooling and howling thousands of bargains. So sorry. So here's my here's some of the simple introduction of what the kind of foreign policies were during that period of time.
American foreign policy. World War II, Vietnam. By 1945, the forces of the United States and the Soviet Union had crushed the forces of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan.
After World War II, the Soviet Union supported the spread of communism, while the United States tried to stop it. This led to a conflict called the Cold War, in which the two superpowers vied for political and military advantage around the world.
With the end of World War II, U.S. President Harry Truman worried about the growing power of the Soviet Union. The Soviets were installing communist governments in Eastern Europe, creating a strong communist bloc. Truman believed that communism threatened democracy and human rights, and saw it as the responsibility of the United States to prevent its spread.
After World War II, the Soviet Union and the United States agreed to temporarily divide Korea along the 38th parallel. The northern half of the country was controlled by the Soviet Union. The southern half was a Republican administration. But in June 1950, Joseph Stalin, General Secretary of the Soviet Union, became eager to expand communist domination. He ordered North Korea's leader Kim Il-sung to unite the country under communism. On July 15, 1950, tanks rolled across the 38th parallel. 100,000 well-trained and well-armed combat troops swarm into the south, meeting little resistance from the South Korean army. On September 2, 1950, the Security Council appointed American General Douglas MacArthur to take command of all United Nations forces in Korea. The United Nations and South Korean forces had been suffering heavy losses. The North Koreans seemed unbeatable. But MacArthur rejected any talk of a need to withdraw. It was his character and determination that carried his troops. By June of 1953, both North Korea and the United Nations forces stopped fighting at the 38th parallel, roughly the same point where the war had begun.
In 1953, former World War II General Dwight D. Eisenhower became President of the United States. Like Truman, he took a strong stand against communism. During Eisenhower's presidency, the United States would also take an interest in Vietnam. Like Korea, Vietnam was divided in two, with communists controlling the north. However, the communists tried to control the south as well.
NLF guerrilla fighters called the Viet Cong destroyed roads and bridges in the south and assassinated government officials. They carried out these attacks with the help of North Vietnam. He and his advisors worried that if Vietnam turned communist, the rest of Southeast Asia would follow in turn. This idea, called the domino theory, would shape American actions in Vietnam for years to come.
In 1961, John F. Kennedy became President of the United States.
U.S. involvement in Vietnam.
Soviets to put armed ballistic missiles on Cuban soil, just 90 miles from the American coast. Disastrous ending.
Kennedy's negotiations with the Soviet After Kennedy was assassinated, Vice President Johnson became president.
Johnson was forced to send more and more American troops. The United States was now fully involved in the Vietnam War.
So yeah, that's was some of the explanation of foreign policy from 1945 to 1946. As sorry, as here's some of the points. As it said that hardly anyone understood or running it. So basically, the American people, citizens were trying hard to cope up with the foreign policy of their government, as they were participating here also, there also, and we can see some of the policy like containment policy was designed to contain the spread of communism, as they were fear, as the government feared that if the communism is spread in one country, then it will follow. It will then the other country will also follow by one after another. And the United States launched another initiative called Marshall Plan, as it was to relaunch the economy of European countries, as we can see that the President Truman signed the Economic Recovery Act of 1948 and proposed that the United States provide economic assistance to restore the economic infrastructure of post-war Europe. We can if we just see from the proposal, we can see that the United States were pretty much good, or they were pretty much helpful, but we also have to know from another side, as they were also trying to gain the support and also want to form their market. And another policy approach throughout the post-war era was domino theory, and it is said that basically, the domino theory was a Cold War policy that suggested a communist government in one nation would likely lead to communist takeovers in neighboring countries is for like a perfectly yellow rows of dominoes. So it was also one of the cause for the Vietnam War. And question number 3 was why McCarthy and his allies were curiously quiet during the crisis occasioned by China intervention in Korean War, which deemed as a national emergency by Truman in USA. My answer for this question is Korean War broke out in 1950 June 25 when North Korea invaded South Korea, and United Nations and UNO provided forces composed of dozens of countries. As we know that, as if we go in detail, North Korean forces went back and forth 2 times in South Korea, and the South Korea were resisting them. And we also know the famous incident of Incheon landing and the glorious victory of General MacArthur. And back at that time, because of the confidence, they fight them back to take them out of their country borderline. And on October 7, 1950, when South Korean forces along with UN forces passed the 38th parallel line and advanced towards the north with the command of MacArthur. Then at that time, the China intervened the Korean War to help and provide aid to North Korea. And during that time, many other advisors told them that if they cross the line of the 30th parallel line, obviously China will intervene the war, but they didn't listen to it, and because of that they bear heavy losses. And at that time Truman deemed it as a national emergency. As Truman deemed it a national emergency, McCarthy, who always have opinion on his ally, were curiously quiet. So basically the question was why they were quiet. And we can see that there were few options like which author give us, like Baltimore failure, enormous increases for defense spending happening under crypto being democratic rather than patriotic Republican auspice, or simply because he was occupied with other things. For my point of view, he was occupied dealing with media and charges because he gave speech in Lincoln Day claiming that he made lists of communist workers working in State Department, and after that he gave the massive laid-back also. As for the question number 4, what were the McCarthy furious and wild attacks which diverted attention all to the other direction? As we can see that I have talked before, sorry it's not clear, but this is what I got. So the President, the White House, in a Lincoln Day speech at Wheeling Thursday night, I stated that the State Department harbors a nest of communist and communist sympathizers who are helping to shape our foreign policy. I further stated that I have in my possession the name of Soviet communists who are in the State Department at present, a State Department spokesman. And McCarthy sought to discredit his critics and political opponents by accusing them of being communist or communist sympathizers, as we saw in that later. And as he stated here, a State Department spokesman, and he termed him as Owen Lattimore. As in the book also we can continuously see that Owen Lattimore was continuously attacked by McCarthy, saying him chief Russian spy or other things also. And finally McCarthy attacked Lattimore Truman administration, and after that attacking, he attacked as a son as Trump as Bush coming from Lattimore mind. And we can see that in the whole of his journey from Senate to until his death, he exploited the fear of communism in the U.S. Citizen. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you. As for the question number 3 and 4, I was pretty much in hurry because of the time limitation. I hope you guys understand my question and answer. Thank you.